The billionaire CEO caught the cleaning lady saving $500 million at 2 a.m., and he was in shock. Before we start, tell us in the comments, which city are you watching from? And at the end, do not forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. 2 in the morning. Liam Bennett was lying on the leather sofa in his own living room, a living room the size of an entire apartment, trying to sleep. He had spent the last 20 hours trying to fix an error in the financial system that no one could identify. 20 hours, 3 emergency meetings, 2 liters of coffee, and 0 solutions. At 11 at night, he sent everyone home. Come back early tomorrow. We will fix this. But Liam stayed. Because CEOs do not go home when the company is on fire. They pretend they know how to put the fire out and sleep on the sofa like incompetent heroes. He had just closed his eyes. Finally, when he heard it, click, 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 keys being typed, in the office, on the 23rd floor, where no one was supposed to be. Liam sat up, heart racing. He grabbed his phone. Barefoot, wearing pajama pants and a wrinkled white shirt, he ran down the dark hallway. Because in his mind, it was either a Russian hacker, a vengeful former employee, or, even worse, an intern who had discovered the premium Wi-Fi password. The hallway was silent, but at the end, in the financial operations room, a bluish light was blinking, and the sound continued. Click, 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 click. Fast, irritated, frenzied. Liam slowly pushed the door open, ready to shout, call security, or do something heroic that he had seen in a movie once. Then he turned on the light. Sophie was sitting in the chief financial officer's chair. Blue cleaning uniform, hair tied back with an elastic band that had given up on life, worn-out Converse sneakers, and her fingers flying across the keyboard as if she were typing the cure for cancer. She did not even look at him. She just raised one finger like, "Hold on, I'm busy," and kept typing. Liam froze. Mouth open, brain blocked. Because honestly, what do you do when you catch the cleaning lady hacking your company at 2 in the morning and she asks you to wait? What on earth are you doing? He finally exploded. Sophie raised her hand again, more firmly this time. Just 1 second. 1 second? You are breaking into my company's system. Technically, I am not breaking in. Sophie continued typing nonstop. The password was on a post-it stuck to the monitor, with a little drawing of a puppy on the corner. Which, by the way, is the saddest thing I have ever seen in terms of corporate security. Liam took 2 steps forward. I am calling security right. Done. Sophie hit enter with dramatic force, like a pianist ending a symphony. The screen blinked. All the red alerts turned green. The charts that were in panic mode went back to normal. The system seemed to breathe in relief. Sophie spun the chair toward him, crossed her legs, and also exhaled. But out of relief. There, much better. Liam blinked. Twice. 3 times. Better what? The error. Sophie pointed at the monitor the way someone points at a ketchup stain on a wall. There was a $500 million error happening since 11 tonight, like it was going to explode tomorrow morning when the Japanese investors opened the quarterly report. Someone switched columns D and F. She paused, outraged. How does someone do that? It is like confusing salt with sugar. You notice it right away. Liam looked at the screen. Then at her, then at the screen, then at her again. You fixed a $500 million error by yourself at 2 in the morning because… Sophie shrugged. It was giving me visual itching. Silence. The kind of silence where the universe stops, looks at the camera and thinks, really? Itching. Liam repeated slowly, testing the words in his mouth. Visual? Yes. Sophie stood up, adjusting her uniform. Like when you see a crooked picture on a wall and you need to straighten it. Except with me, it is with numbers. I was vacuuming here, glanced at the monitor, saw that giant number shouting, I am wrong, and she made a vague gesture with her hands. I could not ignore it. I tried, I promise. I even turned the vacuum to maximum to drown out the voice in my head yet, but the itching got unbearable, like an ant walking inside the brain. Liam rubbed his face. You have little ants in your brain? Metaphorically. Sophie grabbed a cleaning cloth from her pocket and began wiping the desk. Physically, I only have anxiety and a music app subscription I forgot to cancel. He watched her clean the desk as if nothing had happened, as if she had not just saved $500 million while he was asleep. You are a cleaning lady. And you're a CEO. Sophie stopped, tilted her head, and smiled. But apparently neither of us is sleeping at the right time. So who are we to judge? Liam let out a laugh, involuntary, almost hysterical. Because nothing about that situation made sense. Okay, all right, let's take a breath. He inhaled deeply, trying to be rational. Do you have a degree in finance, accounting, engineering? I finished high school and took an online Excel course because it was free on YouTube. Sophie went back to cleaning. Oh, and I had an aunt who was an accountant and used to let me play with her spreadsheets when I was 10, like Lego but with formulas. Lego with formulas. Exactly. Liam stayed silent for a full 3 seconds, then pointed to the door. You're going home now, and tomorrow at 7:30, you're coming back here to explain how on earth you did that. Sophie grabbed the cleaning bucket from the corner. I don't want to lose my job. I just wanted to help. You're not going to lose your job. Promise? Liam hesitated, because honestly he had no idea what to do with her. But he said it anyway. I promise. Sophie looked at him for a second, then nodded and walked toward the door. But before leaving, she stopped, turned, and said, just for the record, I didn't cause the error, I just fixed it, because someone here is terrible with formulas. She pointed at the computer. And if you don't believe me, check the system log. It's all recorded, including the part where I muttered, my God, who was the idiot, while fixing it. She left. Liam stayed there, alone in the brightly lit room, staring at the computer screen a cleaning lady had hacked to save the company. He let out a quiet, disbelieving laugh. Visual itch, he murmured, shaking his head. And for the first time in years, Liam Bennett, billionaire, CEO, a man who ran financial empires, had absolutely no idea what to do. He looked at the clock on the wall. 2:20 in the morning. In 5 hours, Sophie would be back. And he still didn't know if she was a genius or the biggest problem of his life. 7:27 in the morning. Sophie walked through the glass doors of the 23rd floor holding a gas station coffee and looking like someone who had slept 2.5 hours. Liam was already there. Full suit, tie straightened, hair perfectly in place. As if he hadn't spent the entire night awake trying to process the absurd moment they lived through. He was sitting in the empty conference room, arms crossed, a stack of papers on the table. He pointed to the chair across from him. Sit. Sophie sat, took off the coffee lid, took a long sip and sighed like someone who had just received a blood transfusion. Is this an interrogation or a job interview? I haven't decided yet. Liam leaned forward, hands clasped, posture of a CEO in I'm going to get to the truth mode. Let's start with the basics. How did you learn to handle corporate financial systems? YouTube. Silence. Liam blinked. Yes. Sophie shrugged, taking another sip. There's a tutorial for everything. I learned advanced Excel, basic Python, a bit of SQL. I use it to organize my own finances. For example, I have a spreadsheet to track how much I spend on coffee each month. It's depressing, but at least it's organized. Liam rubbed his face with both hands. You practice by hacking companies? I did not hack anything. Sophie almost spit her coffee. I just looked and fixed it. It's like when you see someone with their clothing tag sticking out. You're not invading their privacy. You're just adjusting the universe. Adjusting the universe. Liam repeated as if he were trying to translate an alien language. Exactly. Unlike the fairy godmother of symmetry. Only without a wand, and without the pretty dress, and without being paid for it. Liam stayed silent for 3 seconds, then opened a folder and slid a piece of paper to her. I had HR look into you this morning. Sophie froze, coffee paused halfway to her mouth. And there's nothing. Liam tapped the paper. Your contract with the cleaning company. Vague references, no criminal record, no college degree, no suspicious bank accounts. You are invisible. Sophie looked at the paper, then at him. Is that good or bad? Honestly, I have no idea. She gave a crooked smile. Welcome to my world, boss. 8:15 in the morning. The office began to fill up. Sophie went back to work. Wiping desks, emptying trash bins, rearranging chairs with precise alignment. But now, with Liam watching from a distance, every movement she made felt like it was under an invisible spotlight. She walked past the financial analysis room where 3 analysts were hunched over printed charts, arguing loudly. Sophie stopped, glanced at the papers, and felt the itch begin. No, Sophie, not your turn. Keep walking. She took 2 steps. 3. The itch grew stronger. She stopped. Sighed. turned around. "Excuse me." Sophie leaned over the table, pointing at the chart with the tip of her pen. "This y-axis is off. The scale starts at 20, not 0. That completely distorts the perception of growth. You are making it look like the company grew about 300%, when in reality it was around 15. The three analysts lifted their heads at the same time like startled meerkats. The man with round glasses and a loose tie frowned. "Sorry, who are you?" "Sophie. Cleaning staff." She pointed at the chart again. "And this dotted line here? It is outside the curve. Probably a typing error. It should be 320, not 3020. Unless you sold 1,000 cars in a single day, which would be impressive, but unlikely." An awkward silence followed, until the blonde woman in the corner checked her laptop. She typed, clicked, looked at the screen, and turned pale. "My goodness, she is right." Sophie took a cleaning cloth from her pocket and wiped the table around the chart. "I know." She smiled. "May I clean the table now, or would you like more free consulting?" And she left, pushing the cleaning cart, humming a quiet pop song from the 2000s. The three analysts remained frozen. The man with glasses murmured, "What just happened?" 10 o'clock in the morning. Victor Harlow walked into Liam's office without knocking. Tall, in his 40s, Italian suit, cologne that cost more than Sophie's rent. He was the kind of man who smiled with his mouth, but his eyes seemed to calculate how to fire you. "Liam, we need to talk." Liam looked up from his screen. "About what?" "About the cleaning lady who is apparently giving unauthorized financial consulting to my analysts." Victor shut the door firmly. "3 of them came to complain. They said she corrected a report without permission." "And was she right?" Victor hesitated. Only for half a second. "But it was enough." "That is not the point." "Then what is the point?" "The point is that she is not authorized to touch anything." Victor crossed his arms. "Who is she anyway? Where did she come from? Why are you letting a cleaning lady walk through the finance department as if she were an auditor?" Liam leaned back in his chair. "She saved $500 million last night." Victor gave a short, dry laugh. "And you believe her?" "I trust the system logs. They confirm it." Or, Victor stepped closer, lowering his voice, "She caused the issue and pretended to fix it." Think about it, Liam. She appears out of nowhere, accesses the system, and suddenly is the hero? That sounds like a scheme, an inside job. Liam stayed silent, because deep down a part of him, small but present, had thought the same. Victor noticed the hesitation and smiled. "I will keep an eye on her, and if I find anything, you will have to make a decision." He left, closing the door softly. Liam remained alone, looking at his computer screen. And for the first time since he met Sophie, he wondered, what if Victor is right? Noon. Sophie was in the break room, heating her lunch in the microwave, when 2 receptionists walked in, laughing loudly. "Did you all see the expert cleaning lady?" said the brunette with long red nails. "I did," replied the blonde with a ponytail. "She corrected Jason in front of everyone. He almost had a breakdown. I bet she did not even finish high school. She probably watched something online and thought she was a PhD." They burst into laughter. Sophie kept stirring her lunch, pretending not to hear. But when the microwave beeped, she took out the container, grabbed a plastic fork, and as she walked through the door, she murmured, loud enough for them to hear, "High school completed. But thank you for the concern about my resume." The 2 froze. Sophie walked out, without looking back. 3 in the afternoon. Liam found Sophie in the conference room lining up chairs, with a measuring tape. "You carry a measuring tape with you?" he asked from the door. "Always." Sophie did not look up, measuring the distance between 2 chairs. "Symmetry is peace of mind. Asymmetry is visual chaos, and visual chaos gives me heartburn." Liam watched her measure, adjust, measure again. "Victor thinks you are a scammer." Sophie stopped, put the tape away, looked at him. "And you?" Liam hesitated, and Sophie saw the doubt in his eyes. She let out a humorless laugh and went back to aligning chairs. "Relax, boss. I am used to it." And that was when Liam noticed something that bothered him more than he expected. Sophie expected to be accused, as if it had happened before. 5 in the afternoon. Victor returned, this time with a flash drive in his hand and a smile as if he had just won the lottery. "I found something." Liam looked up. Victor tossed the flash drive on the desk. Sophie Martin accessed the system 4 times in the last 2 weeks. Always late at night, always without authorization. Liam tensed up. And was she fixing errors those times as well? Victor smiled. No, she was snooping. The flash drive was still on the table. Victor was still smiling, and Liam still had not said a word. But before anyone could speak, the door swung open. Melissa, Liam's executive assistant, rushed in out of breath, her face pale, eyes wide. Mr. Bennett. She could barely talk. The Japanese investors arrived 40 minutes early. They are in the conference room, and the system froze. Liam jumped to his feet. Froze how? The reports will not load. The presentation will not open. The server is not responding. Nothing works. Nothing. Victor was already heading out the door, adjusting his tie. I will take care of it. Liam followed him. Melissa hurried after both of them, and the flash drive was left behind on the table. A small detail, but one that would come back to haunt them later. 9:40 in the morning. The conference room looked like the Titanic 5 minutes before sinking. 3 Japanese investors sat on the opposite side of the long table, immaculate in dark gray suits, their expressions politely bored. Beside them, 2 interpreters waited in silence, tablets in hand. At the head of the table, Victor was typing on his laptop as if trying to stop an emergency. Sweat ran down his forehead, his jaw was clenched, his fingers hit the keys with contained panic. Liam stood beside him, smiling stiffly, trying to appear calm. But inside, total panic. How long? Liam muttered through his teeth, still smiling at the investors. 2 minutes, maybe 5. The server is stuck in a loop. Victor did not take his eyes off the screen. I am trying to restart it manually. Victor, they flew 12 hours for this meeting. I know, Liam. Victor whispered so sharply it was almost a shout. One of the investors coughed, discreetly glancing at his very expensive watch. Liam smiled even wider, nodding as if to say, just a moment, I promise. Inside, he was seriously considering faking a heart attack to delay the meeting. The side door opened. Melissa entered pushing a cart with coffee, tea, mineral water, and imported cookies that cost more than Sophie's monthly salary. And behind her, quiet as a shadow, came Sophie. Blue uniform, all-star sneakers, hair tied back, carrying an extra tray with white porcelain cups. She began placing the cups on the table, one by one, in complete silence. But as she set down the 3rd cup, her eyes shifted, just for a second, to Victor's laptop screen. And the itch began. No, Sophie, not your turn. Keep serving the coffee. She served the first investor, but kept glancing sideways at the screen. Victor pressed enter for the 15th time. Nothing. He muttered something under his breath that was definitely not appropriate for a corporate meeting. Sophie served the second investor, but the itch grew stronger. She could see the error. There. On line 47. Cell with circular reference. Infinite loop. Obvious solution. Sophie, do not. She served the 3rd investor. Victor hit the keyboard with the palm of his hand, as if that would help. This makes no sense. The backup should be running. It should, but it is not. Liam rubbed his face, already preparing an apology speech. Sophie stopped beside Victor, leaned slightly. Excuse me. Victor did not even look. Not now. It is just that I think I know. I said not now. Victor turned his head toward her, eyes full of contained anger. You are a cleaning lady. Serve the coffee and leave. The silence in the room was so heavy that even the interpreters stopped breathing. Sophie stepped back, holding the empty tray, her face red. The investors exchanged looks. Melissa froze at the door, and Liam looked at Sophie, then at Victor, then at the frozen screen. And he made the most impulsive decision of his life. Sophie, he gestured with his hand, come here. Victor turned to him, speechless. You are joking. Let her look. Liam, she is a cleaning lady. And you are a financial director who cannot open a spreadsheet. Liam pointed to the chair. Sophie. Now, Victor turned purple, but he stepped aside. Sophie hesitated, looked at the investors. They were all watching, curious. She took a breath and walked forward. Sophie pulled out the chair, sat down, placed her fingers on the keyboard. And before Victor could protest, she was already typing. 3 quick commands. Closed a window, opened the terminal, typed 1 line of code. 15 seconds. The screen flickered. The reports loaded. All of them. Perfectly. With colorful charts and numbers aligned like obedient little soldiers. Sophie stood up, adjusting her uniform. Done. She looked at Liam, not at Victor. The formulas were misaligned. The server tried to process data from empty cells and got stuck in a loop. I just reset the calculation sequence and re-indexed the pivot tables. Absolute silence. One of the Japanese investors leaned forward and said something in Japanese. The interpreter hesitated, then repeated it in English, with a tone that was almost amused. He wants to know if she works in the IT department. Sophie nearly laughed. No, I clean restrooms. The interpreter blinked, clearly unsure if he had heard correctly, but he translated it anyway. The investor smiled. Then he began to clap, slowly, politely, and the other two followed. Clap, clap, clap. Sophie stood there, completely frozen, while three of the top investors from Japan applauded a cleaning woman in a blue uniform in the middle of a conference room in Manhattan. Liam exhaled the breath he had been holding for 5 minutes. Melissa smiled with relief. And Victor? Victor's jaw was clenched so tightly it looked like his teeth might crack. 10:30 in the morning. The meeting ended. The investors left satisfied, with firm handshakes and promises of million-dollar transfers. Liam walked them to the elevator, all smiles and renewed confidence. But when he returned to the conference room, he found Sophie alone, gathering empty coffee cups and stacking used napkins. Hey? Liam stepped in, closing the door behind him. Thank you. Sophie didn't look up. You're welcome. You saved the meeting. I know. He waited for something more. A joke. A smile. Anything. But Sophie just kept stacking cups in silence. Sophie, she stopped, but still didn't look at him. Are you okay? She let out a short, humorless laugh. Of course, why wouldn't I be? Because Victor was awful to you. Victor is always awful to me. Sophie finally looked at him, and there was something tired in her eyes. Just like everyone else here, I'm invisible, Liam, until I do something useful. Then I become entertainment. The cleaning lady who saves meetings. How funny. How adorable. She mimicked an exaggerated voice. Look at that, she knows math. Liam had no words. You're not entertainment. No? Sophie crossed her arms. Then why did the investors applaud? It wasn't because I'm good. It was because they were surprised. Because it makes a funny story they'll share with their friends, like a dog riding a bicycle. Nobody applauds the bicycle, Liam. They applaud the absurd. And before he could answer, she picked up the tray and walked out, leaving Liam alone in the empty room, feeling like he had won the meeting, but lost something far more important. 10:45. Victor was waiting for Liam in the hallway, arms crossed, jaw tight, cold eyes. We need to talk now, Liam sighed. Go ahead. Victor stepped closer, lowering his voice. You just humiliated the entire department in front of Japanese investors. You let a cleaning woman solve a problem my team was supposed to solve. Your team didn't solve it. She did. Because she caused it. Victor practically spat the words. Don't you see? She crashes the system, shows up as the hero, and you fall right into the trap. Liam stayed silent, because for the first time a part of him, small but persistent, began to doubt. Victor noticed and smiled. I'll prove it. And when I do, you'll have to choose between the company and her. He walked away, and Liam stood in the hallway, one question pounding in his mind. What if he's right? Liam began arriving at the office earlier, not because he had urgent work, not because he had meetings scheduled, but because Sophie arrived at 6 in the morning, and he wanted to understand how a cleaning woman could solve problems the entire team couldn't, understand why she talked to herself while she worked, understand why, every time he saw her, something inside him felt curious. Or maybe it wasn't just curiosity, but he wasn't ready to admit that, not even to himself. 6:15 a.m. Tuesday. Liam was in his office, door slightly open, pretending to read emails, but in reality, watching. Sophie walked down the hallway, pushing the cleaning cart, headphones in, humming softly. She stopped at an analyst's desk, looked at the scattered papers, and frowned. Goodness, this looks like an emotional battlefield. She began stacking papers, organizing them by color. Who lives like this? Who looks at this mess and thinks, yes, this is fine? She shook her head, offended. I can't. I physically can't. Liam covered his mouth not to laugh. She kept talking to herself as she aligned the papers with precise care. There. Much better. Now you can have organized thoughts. You're welcome, Jason. You have no idea, but I just saved your mental health. She continued pushing the cart, completely unaware that the company's CEO was hiding behind the door, laughing to himself like a teenager. 7:40 a.m. Wednesday. Liam was in the break room, making coffee. Sophie walked in, saw him holding the cup, and stopped. She looked at the cup, looked at him, looked at the cup again. You, she pointed, hesitant. are holding the handle the wrong way. Liam blinked. What do you mean the wrong way? The handle is turned to the left. You are right-handed. The handle should be on the right side. Sophie made a circular gesture with her hand. It is basic ergonomics. Your wrist will be thankful. Liam looked at the cup, turned the handle to the correct side. Better? Much better. Sophie sighed, relieved, as if she had just prevented a national tragedy. Sorry, I know it is strange, but a crooked handle gives me anxiety. She left. Liam stayed there alone, holding the perfectly aligned cup, smiling like a fool. 9 in the morning. Thursday. Liam was about to leave for a meeting when Sophie passed him in the hallway, stopped and frowned. Your tie is crooked. He looked down. No, it is not. Yes, it is. 3 degrees to the left. Sophie pointed. May I? Before he could respond, she was already in front of him, adjusting the knot of his tie with quick, precise movements. Liam froze, because suddenly she was very close, close enough for him to smell her perfume, close enough to see the freckles on her nose, close enough to notice she bit her lower lip when she was focused. There. Sophie stepped back, satisfied. Now you look like a real CEO, not an intern who got dressed in the dark. And she left before he could answer. Liam stayed in the hallway, his hand on his chest, his heart beating faster than it should. 10:30. Friday. Melissa walked into Liam's office holding the tablet with the expression of someone who had bad news. Mr. Bennett, your schedule for tomorrow is unusual. Liam looked up. Unusual how? Someone reorganized everything, canceled 3 meetings, moved 2, and added a mandatory lunch break at 12:30 p.m. with the note, you need to eat, it is not optional. Liam frowned. Who did that? Melissa hesitated. The log says, Sophie Martin? Liam blinked. The cleaning lady? Yes, apparently she accessed the scheduling system last night, saw that you had 7 meetings in a row with no break, and adjusted it. Liam stayed silent for 3 seconds, then let out a low, incredulous laugh. She organized my life. Technically, only your schedule. Melissa tilted her head. But I admit she did a better job than I did. Noon. Lunchroom. Sophie was sitting alone at a table in the corner, eating instant noodles straight from the plastic container. Liam walked in, saw her, and without thinking twice, went to her table. May I sit? Sophie almost choked. You are the CEO. You can sit anywhere you want. That was not a yes. She hesitated, then shrugged. Sit. He sat. Awkward silence for 5 seconds, until Liam pointed at the noodle container. You eat that every day? It is cheap, fast, and does not require complex utensils. Sophie took a forkful. And before you ask, yes, I know it is not healthy, but it is also none of your business. Liam smiled. You reorganized my schedule. Sophie froze. Oh, yes, sorry. I know it was intrusive, but, she rolled her eyes. 7 meetings in a row? Really? You would have a nervous breakdown before 3 in the afternoon. You care if I have a nervous breakdown? Sophie looked at him directly. I care when any human being overloads themselves for no reason. And that was the moment Liam realized something important. Sophie was not trying to impress him. She genuinely cared. 2 in the afternoon. The rumors had already started. In the break room, 2 assistants spoke in low voices. Did you see? Bennett had lunch with the cleaning lady. Really? Like, just the 2 of them? Just the 2 of them, at the same table, talking. My goodness, do you think they are, you know? I do not know, but he has been showing up around here a lot lately, and always when she is around. They laughed softly, speculative, and across the room, Victor heard everything. And smiled. 4 in the afternoon. Sophie was cleaning the executive dining room when Liam walked in. She looked at the large table, saw the slightly misaligned silverware, and sighed. Your silverware is suffering from symmetry trauma. She began adjusting each fork, each knife, each spoon, with obsessive precision. Did someone set this with their eyes closed, or was it on purpose? Because if it was on purpose, that person needs therapy. Liam leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, smiling. Do you always talk to yourself? Sophie almost dropped a knife. She turned red. I did not realize you were there. I realized that you did not realize. He stepped closer, and I like it. Sophie had no reaction, because the way he said that, calm, sincere, with no irony, made something unusual happen in her chest, something she could not allow. She looked away, returning to arranging the silverware. You should not like me. I am strange. I know. Liam smiled. But I still like you. Sophie stopped, took a deep breath, and without looking at him said quietly, "Liam, I clean bathrooms. You run empires. This," she made a vague gesture, "whatever this is, cannot happen." "Why? Because I need this job, and you need your reputation. And we both know how this ends if anyone finds out the CEO is," she hesitated, "interested in the cleaning lady." Liam stayed silent. Because she was right, and they both knew it. Sophie took the cart and left without looking back, leaving Liam alone in the perfectly organized room with an uncomfortable truth echoing in his mind. He was beginning to care about her, and that was going to complicate everything. 5:30 in the afternoon. Victor walked into Liam's office without knocking. "We need to talk," Liam sighed. "Again?" Victor threw his phone on the desk. On the screen, a photo taken from afar, Liam and Sophie having lunch together. Employees are talking. And when employees talk, investors listen. Liam looked at the photo, then at Victor. "So what?" Victor smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "So now you have a choice to make, Liam. Either you stay away from her, or I do it for you." The photo was still on the desk. Victor was still smiling, and Liam still had not answered. But before any words were spoken, the door opened. Sophie walked in pushing the cleaning cart, headphones on, completely unaware of the tension in the room. She looked at Victor's desk. Papers scattered, pens out of place, a coffee cup with a lipstick mark on the wrong side, and wrinkled her nose with physical disapproval. "My goodness." She removed her headphones. "This is emotional mess showing up in physical form." Victor turned to her, irritated. "Excuse me?" "Your desk," Sophie pointed, serious. "It is screaming, I have unresolved issues. For example, look at this pen holder. The pens are all mixed, blue with black with red. This is not organization, this is anarchy." Liam covered his mouth to hide a smile. Victor turned red. "Can you leave? We are in the middle of an important conversation. Of course, I will just align these pens first. If I do not, I will not sleep tonight." Sophie began separating the pens by color, fully focused. "There. Now you can have organized thoughts. No need to thank me." She left, pushing the cart, humming softly. Victor waited for the door to close, then turned to Liam, his eyes filled with controlled anger. "See? She has no limits, no awareness, and you allow it." Liam crossed his arms. "She only organized your pens, Victor. She invaded my space. Again, just like she invaded the system. Just like she invades everything." Victor leaned forward. "And tomorrow at the board meeting, I am going to prove it to everyone." Liam grew tense. "What are you going to do?" Victor smiled, but did not answer. He only picked up his phone and left. 10 in the morning. Monday. Main conference room. The entire board was there. 8 executives seated around the long table. Liam at the head. Victor on the right side with a laptop open and an expression that mixed confidence and revenge. The official agenda was cybersecurity review. But everyone knew something else was coming. Melissa walked in with coffee. Behind her, as always, came Sophie, carrying the extra tray with clean cups. She began placing the cups one by one in silence. But when she placed the cup in front of Victor, he spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Thank you, Sophie. But try not to hack anything while you are here, all right?" Soft laughs around the table. Sophie froze. Liam looked at Victor with a warning in his eyes. But Victor ignored it. In fact, Victor opened the laptop, turning the screen so everyone could see. "Since we are all here, I think it is time to discuss a security problem I have been investigating." Liam leaned forward, tense. "Victor, this is not on the agenda." "It should be." Victor clicked the mouse. The screen showed a list of system access logs. "In the last 3 weeks, our financial server was accessed 7 times outside business hours, always between midnight and 3 in the morning. Always without prior authorization." Heavy silence. "And guess who made those accesses?" Victor turned to Sophie, who was still standing beside the table, holding the empty tray. "Sophie Martin, our cleaning lady." All eyes turned to her. Sophie turned pale. "I can explain. Please do." Victor crossed his arms, smiling. "Explain why a cleaning employee with no training, no authorization, accessed our system 7 times. Explain why you had access to confidential financial information. Explain why you appear as the hero every time something goes wrong." "I did not break in. I fixed it." Sophie's voice came out shaky, but firm. "Every time I accessed it, it was because I saw an error no one else noticed, and I corrected it before it turned into a disaster. Or you caused the error so you could fix it and impress everyone." Victor stood up, pointing at the screen. That is called internal sabotage, Sophie, and it is a federal crime. I did not sabotage anything. Sophie dropped the tray on the table with a thud. I just cannot see things broken and do nothing. It is stronger than me. I tried to ignore it, but you tried to deceive. Victor took a step toward her. And you managed to fool everyone, even the CEO. He looked at Liam. Everyone looked at Liam, and Sophie looked too. Her eyes were full of fear and hope that he would say something, anything. But Liam stayed silent, because he was stuck between protocol and emotion, between logic and intuition, between protecting the company and protecting her. And in those 3 seconds of silence that felt like 3 hours, Sophie understood. He was not going to defend her. Fine. Sophie stepped back, her voice breaking. I understand. Sophie, wait, Liam began. But she was already leaving. And as she walked through the door, one of the directors murmured something under his breath. Another laughed, and Sophie heard it. She heard the laughter. She heard the disdain. And for the first time in years, the humiliation burned stronger than the anger. Hallway, 10:15. Sophie was running, not walking, running, trying to reach the elevator before anyone saw her tears. But Melissa saw her. Sophie, wait, no. Sophie stepped into the elevator, pressing the lobby button repeatedly, desperate. No, no. The doors began to close, and through the narrowing gap she saw Liam coming out of the meeting room, looking down the hallway, searching for her. But it was too late. The doors closed, and Sophie collapsed in the corner of the elevator, hugging her knees, crying alone as she went down 23 floors. Meeting room, 10:17. Liam returned. He slammed the door so hard everyone jumped. Meeting dismissed. Liam, we need to discuss disciplinary actions. Victor began. Meeting dismissed. Liam pointed to the door, his voice sharp. Everyone out. Now. The director stood, uncomfortable, and left in silence. Victor was the last, but before leaving, he turned and said quietly, You made the right choice. And he left. Liam stayed alone in the empty room, looking at the chair where Sophie had been just minutes earlier. And for the first time in his life, he felt something he had never felt before. Shame. Because he had allowed it to happen. He had stayed silent, and she had paid the price. Lobby, 10:20. Sophie ran out of the building, not looking back, not stopping, not thinking. She just wanted to disappear. But as she crossed the sidewalk, she heard someone shout, Sophie! She stopped, turned around, and saw Liam standing at the building entrance, out of breath, as if he had run down the stairs. Wait, please. Sophie wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Why? So you can stay silent again? Liam took a step toward her. I did not know what to say. You could have told the truth. Her voice came out broken, full of pain. You could have said that I helped, that I saved the company twice. But you did not say anything, because in the end, I am just the cleaning lady. And you are the CEO. And people like me do not matter to people like you. That is not true. It is. Sophie stepped back. And I was foolish to think it would be different. She turned away. And this time, Liam did not go after her, because he knew there was nothing he could say that would fix what he had broken. He stood on the sidewalk, watching her disappear into the crowd. And he realized, too late, that he had lost the only person who truly saw value in him. Not in the CEO, but in the man. Tuesday, 6:15 in the morning. Liam walked into the office expecting to see Sophie pushing the cleaning cart, humming a pop song while reorganizing the world. But she was not there. And for the first time in 3 weeks, the silence on the 23rd floor was uncomfortable. He walked to the financial operations room. The desks were messy, papers piled carelessly, pens scattered, a coffee cup with visible mold. Liam frowned. Disgusting. But it was not just disgusting, it felt empty. 8:30 in the morning. Liam was in his office trying to work, but he could not concentrate because something was wrong. Everything was wrong. He looked at his desk. The papers were slightly crooked. The pens in the holder were mixed, black with blue with red, and for the first time in his life, it bothered him. What did she do to me? Liam murmured, arranging the pens by color. Melissa walked in with coffee. Mr. Bennett, the report on. She stopped, looked at him organizing pens. Are you all right? I am. Liam finished aligning the last pen. Just organizing. Melissa blinked. You have never organized anything in your life. I know, and it is making me anxious. He looked at the perfectly aligned pens and sighed. There. Now it is right. Melissa walked out slowly, without taking her eyes off him, as if she had just witnessed something unsettling. 10 o'clock. Liam went to the break room to get coffee. He picked up a cup, filled it, turned to leave, and stopped because the handle was on the wrong side. He looked at the cup, turned the handle to the right side, looked again, and heard Sophie's voice in his head. It is basic ergonomics. Your wrist will thank you. He smiled, alone, in the empty break room, smiling at a cup. I am losing my mind, he murmured. Noon. Liam walked past the conference room. The chairs were completely out of place. Someone had left papers on the table. There were cookie crumbs on the floor, and Liam felt something strange, an itch, a desire to tidy up. He stepped inside, looked around, took the measuring tape Sophie had forgotten, left on purpose, in a drawer, and began measuring the distance between the chairs. 15 centimeters. No, 16. 16 and a half? He adjusted the first chair, then the second. This is wrong. How much did she measure again? 20 centimeters? Or was it 18? The door opened. Jason, the analyst with round glasses, walked in and froze. Mr. Bennett? Liam dropped the measuring tape as if it were contraband. I was checking the structural symmetry of the room. Jason blinked 3 times. Right, of course. Completely normal. And he ran out. Liam looked at the measuring tape in his hand. I need help. 2 in the afternoon. Liam was sitting at his desk, staring at his computer screen, but not processing anything. Because all he could think was, where is she? Is she all right? Does she dislike me now? He picked up his phone, opened his contacts. He did not have her number. Of course, because why would I have the cleaning lady's number? He dropped the phone on the desk. Because I am a fool, that is why. He stood up, went to the window, looked out at the city below, and then, driven by a completely irrational impulse, he grabbed a pile of papers from his desk and dropped them on the floor, on purpose. The papers scattered all over the office. Liam looked at the mess and waited to feel something, some connection, some sign that she was still here somehow. But he only felt emptiness. This is ridiculous. He knelt to gather the papers. I am dropping paper on the floor because I miss someone. This is pathetic, but still, he did it again. Dropped more papers, and more, until the entire office looked like a disaster zone. And Liam was sitting on the floor, in the middle of the mess, laughing alone, laughing and crying at the same time, because he finally understood. He did not miss her work. He missed her. 3:30 in the afternoon. Victor entered Liam's office without knocking, and stopped shocked, staring at the papers scattered on the floor. What happened here? Liam stood, straightening his tie. Nothing, just reorganizing. Victor looked around, doubtful. Reorganizing by throwing everything on the floor? It is a new method. You would not understand. Victor crossed his arms. Fine. Let me get straight to the point. He stepped closer. Now that Sophie is no longer here to interfere, I took full control of the finance department. And I have a proposal. Liam frowned. What kind of proposal? We sell the technology division to Harlow Industries, my cousin's company. Immediate profit of $200 million. We split it among the shareholders. Everyone wins. Liam was silent for 3 seconds. You want to sell the division that generates 60% of our annual revenue? It causes long-term loss. Victor pulled a document from the inside pocket of his jacket. But if we sell now, at the peak, we walk away winning. I already prepared the papers. We only need your signature. He placed the document on the desk. Liam looked at the document. Then at Victor, I will review it. There is no time to review. The offer expires Friday. Then it will expire. Liam pushed the document back. I do not sign anything without reviewing it. Victor smiled, but it was the kind of smile that did not reach his eyes. Of course, no hurry. He took the paper back and left. And Liam remained alone with a bad feeling in his stomach. Something was not right. 5 o'clock. Melissa walked into the office with a cardboard box. Mr. Bennett, the cleaning company sent this. These are Sophie's personal belongings. Liam took the box, opened it. Inside were a measuring tape, a notebook filled with endless lists of things to organize, a homemade pen holder made from a soda can, and a sticky note attached to the inside of the lid. Liam picked up the sticky note and read, "Thank you for letting me try, S." He closed his eyes, and for the first time in years, Liam Bennett, CEO, Billionaire, the man who controlled empires, felt completely lost. 6 in the evening. Liam was putting the box away when he saw something strange. At the bottom, under the notebook, there was a USB drive. He picked it up, plugged it into the laptop, opened it, and saw a folder named Mistakes Nobody Saw, Except Me. He clicked. Inside were dozens of files, spreadsheets, reports, system logs, all with errors corrected, all with notes written by Sophie explaining what was wrong and how she had fixed it. And in the last file, a text document. I know you don't believe me, but if you change your mind, here is the proof. I never broke anything. I only fixed things, Sophie. Liam stared at the screen, his chest tight, because she had left this for him. Even after everything, even after being humiliated, she still tried to prove she was innocent, and he had not been there to hear it. He closed the laptop, grabbed his coat, and made the most important decision of his life. He was going to find her, and he was going to fix this, no matter what it cost. 6:15 in the evening. Liam was alone in his office, reviewing every file Sophie had left on the USB drive. Spreadsheets, reports, system logs, all meticulously documented, all corrected, all saved. He opened the oldest file, dated 3 weeks earlier, the same night of the 500 million error, and began to read, line by line, until he reached the original access log and froze, because the error had not been accidental. Someone had swapped columns D and F on purpose. At 11:47 p.m., the perfect time so no one would notice until the next morning. And the user who made the change was there, clear as day, V. Harlow Victor. Liam stared at the screen, blood boiling. Son of a, Victor had caused the error, and when Sophie fixed it, he accused her of sabotage. Liam ran a hand through his hair, breathing deeply. It wasn't just about Sophie, it was about the whole scheme. Victor was sabotaging the company to justify selling the tech division to his cousin for a fortune in commissions. I will finish you, Liam muttered, closing the laptop, but first he needed to find Sophie and apologize on his knees if necessary. 7 in the evening. Liam was in the car, driving to the address of the cleaning agency he had gotten from HR, a commercial building in the Bronx, 4 floors, peeling paint, an old sign, Clean and Shine Cleaning Services. He parked, looked at the building, looked at the clothes he was wearing, a $3,000 suit, Italian shoes, a watch that cost more than a car. I will stand out like a billboard, he muttered. He opened the trunk and began improvising the most ridiculous disguise of his life. 7:15. Liam entered the cleaning agency reception wearing a baseball cap he found in the car from a 2019 corporate event, sunglasses, even though it was night, an old denim jacket Melissa had forgotten at the office months ago, 2 sizes too small for him. He looked like a secret agent infiltrating a gardener's convention. The receptionist, a woman around 50, gray hair, a stern face, looked at him over her reading glasses. Can I help you? Hi, good evening. Liam adjusted the sunglasses, nervous, looking for an employee. Sophie Martin. Does she work here? The woman frowned. Who's asking? A friend, she repeated, suspicious. What kind of friend wears sunglasses at 7 in the evening? The kind who is sensitive to light. Liam improvised, desperate. A medical condition, very serious. Doctors don't know what it is. The receptionist stared at him for 3 seconds. Take the glasses off. I can't. The light. Take the glasses off. Liam took them off. She tilted her head, studying him. You are the CEO of Bennett Corp. No, I'm not. I just look like him. People confuse me all the time. It's embarrassing. You're on this month's Forbes cover. Liam closed his eyes. Fine, it's me. The receptionist crossed her arms. What do you want with Sophie? I need to talk to her. It's urgent. Urgent? Or did you finally realize you were an idiot? Liam blinked. Both? The woman sighed. She grabbed a paper and a pen. She no longer works here. She quit yesterday. But I have her address. She scribbled something on the paper and handed it to him. And just so you know, if you hurt that girl again, I will personally go to your company and reorganize your face. Understand? Liam swallowed. I understand. Good. Now get out before I change my mind. 8 in the evening. Liam stood in front of a modest residential building in Brooklyn. 5th floor, apartment 5C. He climbed the stairs. The elevator was broken, of course. Out of breath, sweating inside the tight denim jacket, he stopped in front of door 5C, took a deep breath, and knocked. No one answered. He knocked again. Nothing. Sophie? He leaned his forehead against the door. I know you are in there, and I know you do not want to see me. But I need to talk to you, please. Silence. He sighed, defeated. I found out the truth about Victor, about the error, about everything. His voice came out low, tired. You did not break into anything. You did not sabotage anything. You saved the company, twice. And I let you be humiliated in front of everyone because I was a coward, because I chose protocol instead of you, and I will regret that for the rest of my life. The door remained closed. Liam rested his forehead on the cold wood. I am sorry, Sophie, truly. He waited 10 more seconds, then turned and started going down the stairs. But when he reached the 3rd floor, he heard the door open above. Liam. He stopped, turned around. Sophie was standing at the door in an old sweatshirt and loose hair, eyes red from crying so much. You are wearing sunglasses at night. He looked at the sunglasses still on his head. It is part of the disguise. Disguise? She crossed her arms. You look like a lost tourist. Liam let out a short, awkward laugh. I know. I am terrible at this. Sophie walked down a few steps but stopped at a safe distance. You said you found out the truth. I did. Liam walked back up, stopping 1 step below her. The 500 million error? It was Victor. He caused it on purpose, to justify selling the technology division. He is stealing the company from the inside. And you, he took a deep breath. You saved everything, and I let him destroy you. Sophie remained silent, processing. Why are you telling me this? Because I need your help. Liam took another step. I need to prove what he did, and I need you to come back. Sophie let out a humorless laugh. Come back? To the place where I was humiliated in front of everyone? Where no one believes me? I believe you. Liam looked directly into her eyes. And I will prove to everyone that you were always right. Sophie hesitated, because part of her wanted to believe, but the other part was still too hurt. Liam, I do not know if... Liam's phone rang. He looked at the screen. Melissa. He answered. Melissa, this is not a good. Mr. Bennett? Her voice came out desperate. Victor called an emergency meeting with the shareholders. Tomorrow, 8 in the morning, he is going to force the vote on selling the technology division. Liam went pale. He cannot do that without my approval. He got support from 51% of the shareholders. Yes, he can. Liam hung up, looked at Sophie. He will destroy the company tomorrow morning, and I cannot prove anything alone. Sophie stood still, torn. Why should I help you? Because you do not leave things broken. Liam took a step closer. It is stronger than you. You said that, and I believe it. Sophie looked at him, at the man who had stayed silent when she needed him most, but also at the man who had crossed the entire city wearing a ridiculous disguise to apologize. She sighed. If I do this, will you listen to me this time? I will do more than that. Liam held out his hand. I will give you the credit you always deserved. Sophie looked at his hand, and after 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours, she shook it. Then let's fix this mess. They walked down the stairs together, in silence. Sophie in front, hands in the sweatshirt pockets. Liam behind, still wearing the ridiculous sunglasses. When they reached the sidewalk, she stopped and turned to him. So, what is the plan? Liam opened his mouth to answer, but his stomach answered first. Grrr. Loud, awkward, impossible to ignore. Sophie raised an eyebrow. Did you eat today? Technically, no, she sighed. There is a cafe on the corner. Let's eat something before saving your company. 8:30 at night. The cafe was small, cozy, with warm lights and the smell of fresh coffee. Scratched wooden tables, mismatched chairs, a chalkboard on the wall with the menu written by hand. There were 3 customers in total. A man in the corner reading a newspaper, a woman on a laptop, and now Liam and Sophie. The barista, a man of about 25, curly hair, apron with coffee stains, looked at them when they walked in. Specifically, he looked at Liam, with the sunglasses, at night, inside the cafe. Good evening, the barista said slowly, clearly confused. May I help you? Sophie sat at a table in the corner. 2 coffees and 2 cheese sandwiches. Got it. The barista kept looking at Liam. Sir, are you kind of famous? No, Liam quickly took off the sunglasses. I just have a common face. You are on the cover of Forbes. Many people look like me. It is genetic. Sophie hid her face in her hands, laughing softly. The barista blinked, confused, but went to make the orders anyway. Liam sat across from Sophie. She was on her phone, avoiding eye contact. Sophie, thank you for agreeing to help me. She didn't look up. I didn't do it for you. I know. You did it because you can't leave things broken. Sophie finally looked at him, and there was something cold in her eyes. Something distant. You're right, I can't. But that doesn't mean I trust you again. Liam felt the weight of her words. I understand. Do you? Sophie set the phone down, arms crossed. You stayed quiet, Liam. When I needed you most, you said nothing. You let me be humiliated, destroyed, in front of everyone. I know, and now you show up at my apartment in a ridiculous disguise asking for forgiveness? She let out a humorless laugh. You think that fixes it? That a sorry erases what happened? Liam was silent, because she was right, and he had no answer. Sophie took a deep breath, trying to hold back the emotion. I will help you, because I don't leave things broken. But after this, we go our separate ways. You go back to your billionaire CEO world, and I go back to mine. Cleaning, where the dust is physical, not emotional. The barista arrived with the coffees and sandwiches, feeling the tension in the air. So, he set the cups down slowly, clearly uncomfortable. Are you two, fighting? Or is it something deeper? Because the vibe here is heavy. Sophie looked at him, expressionless. We're solving existential and corporate issues at the same time. The barista blinked. Right? I'll leave you two alone then. He hurried back to the counter. Liam almost smiled, but when he looked at Sophie again, the smile faded, because she was holding the cup with both hands, staring at it as if it were the most interesting thing in the world. Avoiding looking at him. Sophie, Liam leaned forward. I don't expect you to forgive me. Not now, not ever, but I need you to know that I hate myself for what I did, for what I didn't do, and if I could go back and change that moment, I would, without thinking twice. Sophie finally looked up, and there were tears in her eyes. But you can't go back, Liam. No one can, and words don't fix what was broken. She stood, picking up the wrapped sandwich. I'll help you tomorrow. I'll show up to the meeting. I'll prove Victor is a liar. And after that... She took a deep breath. I'm out, and you never look for me again. Understood? Liam froze. Sophie, wait. Understood. She repeated, firmer. He swallowed hard. Understood. Sophie nodded to the barista, left $5 on the table, and headed for the door. But before leaving, she stopped, without turning around. And take off those ridiculous sunglasses. You look like a retired spy trying to sell car insurance. She left. The door closed behind her with a soft sound, and Liam was alone, sitting in the empty cafe, staring at the coffee cup she had left untouched on the table. The barista came closer, slowly wiping the table next to him. So, he began, curious, did you two break up? We never even started. Liam murmured. Oh, the barista paused. But you wanted it to start, right? Liam looked at him. Is it that obvious? You crossed half the city wearing sunglasses at night. The barista shrugged. It's either love or you're running from the police. Liam let out a short, tired laugh. I ruined everything. You can still fix it. I don't know if I can. The barista sat in the chair Sophie had left empty. Look, I don't know who you are. I don't know what happened between you two, but I saw the way she looked at you when she thought you weren't looking. He pointed to the door. She's hurt, but she's not indifferent, and indifference is worse than anger. Anger still means the person cares. Liam stayed quiet, taking it in. The barista stood, picking up Sophie's cup. Just don't take too long to fix it, because at some point, she'll stop caring. And then, he made a the end gesture. It's over for good. He went back to the counter, leaving Liam alone with his thoughts. And for the first time, Liam realized that maybe saving the company would not be enough. Maybe he needed to save something much more important, her trust. 9:15 at night. Liam left the cafe, took out his phone and called Melissa. Melissa, cancel all my appointments for tomorrow, except the 8 o'clock meeting. Yes, sir? Anything else? Yes. I need you to prepare a presentation with all the proof against Victor. System logs, bank transfers, everything, and I need it ready by 7 in the morning. Consider it done. Liam hung up. He looked up at the night sky over New York and made a decision. Tomorrow, he would not only expose Victor, he would give Sophie the recognition she had always deserved, in front of everyone, even if she never spoke to him again after that, because she deserved it, and he owed it to her. But as he walked back to the car, a doubt hammered in his head. What if, even after everything, she still decides to leave? 10 p.m. Sophie lay on the apartment couch, trying to sleep, but failing miserably. Because even after everything, The humiliation, the pain, the anger, an annoying part of her brain kept thinking about the company. The numbers, the errors, the broken things no one else saw. Stop, Sophie. It's not your problem anymore. She turned onto her side and squeezed her eyes shut. Then the phone rang, unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her answer. Hello. Silence on the other end. Then a woman's voice, low and nervous. Sophie Martin? Who is this? I work in Bennett Corp's finance department. I can't say my name, but you need to know. The voice hesitated. Victor is going to force the sale tomorrow, and he deleted all the proof. All the logs. Everything. Sophie sat up in bed, alert. What do you mean deleted? He accessed the server an hour ago. Deleted files. Changed dates. If you don't do something, he will get away with it. Why are you telling me this? The voice on the other end trembled. Because I saw what he did to you. And it wasn't fair. Pause. The server password is still the same. Post it with the little dog. The call dropped. Sophie stood there, holding the phone, her heart racing. It's not your problem. You said you were leaving. But the itch had already started. And Sophie knew. She knew. She wouldn't be able to sleep until she fixed it. She got up, grabbed her jacket, and ran out. 11:15 p.m. Sophie entered the Bennett Corp building through the service entrance, using the badge she technically hadn't returned. The night guard, a man in his 60s who always slept in his chair, didn't even look up. She rode up to the 23rd floor. Total silence, lights off, only the bluish glow of idle computer screens. Sophie went straight to the server room. She typed the password. She logged in and sat in front of the main terminal. All right, Victor, let's see the damage you did. She cracked her knuckles and started typing. She opened the access logs and froze, because Victor hadn't just deleted files. He'd rewritten the entire history, changed dates, created fake transactions, planted evidence against her. Seriously? Sophie muttered, incredulous. You're so incompetent you can't even erase properly? She tilted her head, studying the patterns, and then she saw it. Victor had made the classic amateur mistake. He'd used the same timestamp for all the changes. 12 p.m., 11:14 p.m., all in sequence, all too obvious. Man, even this company's numbers need therapy. Sophie shook her head, starting to undo the changes one by one. Like, this isn't sophisticated fraud. It's trauma-driven fraud. It's screaming, please find me. She kept typing, talking to herself. Look at this. He flipped column F again. It's like watching someone trip over the same stone 5 times. You need talent to be that bad. 15 minutes later, she had restored all the original files and saved copies in 3 different places. Done. Sophie leaned back in the chair, satisfied. Now you're officially, she made air quotes, exposed. That's when the door clicked shut. Click. Sophie turned her head, heart pounding, and saw Victor standing in the doorway, holding an electronic lock remote, smiling. Hi, Sophie. Sophie stood up slowly. Victor. What a surprise. Shouldn't you be at home planning your early retirement? Funny. He stepped inside, still holding the remote. I could ask you the same. You shouldn't be at home crying into your pillow. I tried, but the itch was stronger. Victor laughed. But it wasn't a friendly laugh. You've always been annoying, you know? Always sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. Always fixing things no one asked you to fix. It's a gift. It's a problem. He crossed his arms. But this time, you stepped over the line. And now, he pointed at the server, you're trapped. Sophie looked at the locked door, then at him. You're going to lock me in here all night? Just until tomorrow morning, after the meeting, once the sale is approved and I have my money. Victor shrugged. Then you can go, and tell your side to whoever you want. But it will be too late. Sophie took a step toward the door. Victor, that's kidnapping. You know that, right? Technically, it is temporary containment of an inconvenient witness. He smiled. But you may call it whatever you like. He walked out, slamming the door. And Sophie heard the beep of the electronic lock activating. She was locked in, alone, in a server room with no windows. Great. Sophie leaned against the door, taking a deep breath. This is great. Completely manageable. No panic. She looked around. No exit. No tools. Just her, a lot of computers, and a mental itch that was not helping at all at the moment. She grabbed her phone. No signal. Of course, because a server room is basically a disaster-proof bunker. She dropped the phone on the floor, frustrated. Then she noticed something. The terminal was still on, and she still had system access. Sophie sat back down, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "All right, Victor, you locked me in, but you forgot one thing." She smiled, typing quickly. "I can hack anything in this company, including doors." 5 minutes later, she had accessed the building's security system, and she was looking at the list of all locked doors in the building, including hers. She moved the cursor to the server room access control and hesitated, because if she unlocked it now, the system would record it. Victor would know, and he would disappear before the meeting. But if she stayed locked in, Liam would go into the meeting without the proof. Without her, and Victor would win. Sophie took a deep breath and made the riskiest decision of her life. She would not unlock the door. She would send a message. She typed Liam's email, attached all the restored files, and wrote, "I am locked in the server room. Victor knows. Do not come for me. Go straight to the meeting. Use this. Finish him." She pressed send and leaned back in the chair, looking at the ceiling. "Since I am staying here," she murmured, "at least I organized this mess." But while she waited alone in the cold, silent room, Sophie realized something that scared her more than being locked in. She was hoping Liam would save her. Even after everything. 6:45 in the morning. Liam opened Sophie's email, read the message, and felt his blood run cold. "I am locked in the server room. Victor knows. Do not come for me. Go straight to the meeting. Use this. Finish him." He had been in the office since 5 in the morning, reviewing the evidence with Melissa. But now, nothing else mattered. "Melissa." He stood, grabbing his coat. "Cancel the meeting." "Sir, the shareholders are already arriving." "I said cancel it." Melissa blinked, startled. Liam was already running toward the elevator. 6:53. Liam reached the server room on the 22nd floor, breathless, sweating inside his suit. The door was locked, red light on the panel. He pounded on the door. "Sophie." Silence. He hit the door again. "Sophie, are you there?" From the other side, a tired voice replied, "Obviously I am here, Liam. It is not as if I have entertainment options." He leaned his forehead against the door, relieved. "Are you all right?" "Physically? Yes. Emotionally? Questionable. Mentally? I spent the whole night talking to servers, so you tell me." Liam almost laughed, but he was too focused on trying to break the door open. "How do I unlock this?" "You do not. The system is electronic. Only Victor has the remote access." Her voice became serious. "No. You go to the meeting, now, and end this. I will not leave you locked in here. You must." Sophie tapped the door from her side. "If you come to save me, Victor will run. He will disappear, and all this will have been for nothing. You have the proof. You have the meeting. So go." Liam hit the door, frustrated. "I will come back for you, I promise." "I know." Her voice came softer. "Now go." He stood there for 3 more seconds, then ran back to the elevator. 7:58 in the morning. Main conference room. 12 shareholders seated around the table. Victor at the head, confidently smiling, holding a stack of documents. Liam walked in 2 minutes before 8, tie crooked, hair messy, eyes filled with contained anger. Victor raised an eyebrow. "Liam, I am glad you could make it. I thought you would miss the vote." "I will not miss anything." Liam sat at the opposite head of the table. "But you will." Victor let out a polite laugh. "Let us begin then." He stood, handing out copies of the documents. "Ladies and gentlemen, I am here today to propose the sale of Bennett Corp's technology division. Immediate profit of $200 million, divided among shareholders. Everyone benefits." One of the shareholders, a man with gray hair, leaned forward. "And does Liam agree with this?" Victor turned to Liam, smiling. "Liam?" Liam opened the laptop and turned the screen so everyone could see. "No, I do not agree, because this sale is based on fraud." Silence fell like a heavy curtain. Victor turned pale. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." Liam clicked the mouse. The screen showed the system logs Sophie had restored. 3 weeks ago, someone caused a $500 million error in our financial system, on purpose. And that someone was you, Victor. This is ridiculous. It is documented. Liam clicked again. "Here. 11:47 p.m. You accessed the server, swapped columns D and F, created an error that would explode the next morning in front of the Japanese investors. And when someone fixed it," he paused, "you accused her of sabotage." One of the shareholders frowned. "Who fixed it?" "Sophie Martin." Liam stood. "An employee you all humiliated, whom I allowed to be humiliated." "But who saved this company?" Twice, Victor stepped forward, trying to regain control. Liam, you are tired. You do not know what you are saying? I know exactly what I am saying. Liam slammed his hand on the table. And I have proof. Bank transfers from Harlow Industries to your account, emails between you and your cousin planning the sale, and the logs showing you tried to delete everything last night. He turned the laptop again, showed everything. The shareholders began murmuring among themselves. Victor stayed silent, because there was no denying it. The evidence was there, in front of everyone. Liam walked around the table, stopping in front of Victor. You are fired, and I will make sure you never work in any respectable company again. Victor let out a bitter laugh. You think that matters? I already have enough money to. You have nothing. Liam crossed his arms. Because I already froze your accounts. I already called our lawyers, and I already contacted the FBI. They should arrive. He checked his watch. In about 5 minutes. Victor turned white. And before he could respond, the door opened. 2 federal agents entered. Victor Harlow? Victor looked at the door, at Liam, and at the shareholders, and realized he had lost. The agents took him away in handcuffs, without resistance, and when the door closed, one of the shareholders began to applaud. Slowly, then another and another, until the entire room was applauding Liam. But he did not want applause, he wanted Sophie. 8:23. Liam ran back up to the 22nd floor with the IT technician behind him, unlocking the server room door with a master code. The door opened, and there was Sophie, sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall, eyes closed. Sophie. Liam knelt in front of her. Are you all right? She opened one eye. Define all right, because I spent 7 hours locked in a cold room speaking with servers, so my definition is a little distorted. He smiled. It is over. Victor was arrested. The company is safe, thanks to you. Sophie stood slowly, adjusting her wrinkled clothes. Great. She walked past him toward the door. Then I can leave now? Liam gently held her arm. Wait, Liam, we already agreed. I know what we agreed. But before you go, I need to do something. He guided her to the elevator, went with her up the 23rd floor, and when the doors opened, Sophie saw it. The entire team was there. Melissa, the analysts, the receptionists, the directors, everyone, and they were all looking at her. Liam turned to the team and spoke loud enough for all to hear. This woman saved my company, twice, and instead of thanking her, I allowed her to be humiliated. I let her be accused of something she never did, and that is the worst decision I have ever made. He turned to Sophie. So, in front of everyone, I want to say, thank you, and I am sorry. You deserved better, and I failed you. Sophie was speechless, because for the first time, someone was giving her credit, in front of everyone. Melissa began to applaud, then Jason, then everyone, the entire floor applauding Sophie, and she stood there, stunned, trying to process it, until she said, in a whisper loud enough for Liam to hear, Can I clean up the company's reputation too? Because honestly, it needs it. Liam laughed, the team laughed, and Sophie finally smiled. But as she looked at Liam, one question echoed in her mind, what now? The applause faded. The team returned to their desks, still whispering, still looking at Sophie with a mix of respect and curiosity. But Sophie stayed in the middle of the office, hands in her pockets, trying to process what had just happened. Liam approached, stopping at a respectful distance. May I speak with you? In private? Sophie hesitated, then nodded. They entered his office. Liam closed the door, and for the first time since everything started, they were alone. No rush, no emergency, just the two of them. Sophie crossed her arms, leaning against the wall. So, what do you want? Liam walked to the table, picked up a folder and came back to her. I want to offer you a position. Sophie raised an eyebrow. Really? After everything, you think I will come back to work here? Not as a cleaning lady. Liam opened the folder. Inside was a printed contract, with her name at the top. As a strategic organization consultant. Silence. Sophie looked at the contract, then at him. Then at the contract again. And then she began to laugh. Not a polite laugh. A real laugh, bending forward, holding her stomach. Liam blinked. Is that funny? Strategic organization consultant? Sophie could barely breathe. Liam, that is the most elaborate way to say the person who fixes messes I have ever seen in my life. He tried to hold it, but ended up laughing too. Okay, when you say it like that, it sounds ridiculous. Sounds? Sophie wiped tears from laughing so hard. It is ridiculous. You created a job title just to avoid admitting you need someone to organize your pens. I need more than that. Liam stepped closer, serious again. I need someone who sees what no one else sees, who fixes what everyone ignores, he hesitated, who keeps me from being a fool again. Sophie stopped laughing, because the way he said that, sincere, vulnerable, removed all the humor from the moment. She looked at the contract, picked it up, flipped through it, and saw the salary. Her eyes widened. This has 5 zeros. 6, actually, Liam corrected, including the cents. Sophie dropped the contract on the table as if it were burning. Liam, I cannot accept that. Why not? Because, she gestured nervous, because that is insane. I am a cleaning lady. I clean bathrooms. I barely finished high school. And you want to pay me 6 figures to, what, organize your spreadsheets? No. Liam took a step closer. I want to pay you to do what you already do, but now with recognition, with respect, and with your own desk, with color-coded pen holders if you want. Sophie let out a nervous laugh. You are serious? Completely. She looked at him. At the contract. At him again. Liam, I do not know if I can work here again. Not after everything. People will still look at me as the cleaning lady who got lucky, as the joke that became a consultant. Then we changed the narrative. Liam picked up the contract and held it in front of her. You are not the cleaning lady who got lucky. You are the woman who saved $1 billion company twice, who exposed fraud, whose mind is worth more than any Harvard MBA. And if anyone disagrees, he smiled, I will have you organize that person's desk until they resign. Sophie laughed, but she still did not take the contract. And what if it does not work? What if I am not good at it? You already are good at it. Liam placed the contract into her hands. You just never had the chance to prove it. Sophie looked at the paper, felt its weight, the weight of the decision, and then slowly put the contract back on the table. I cannot accept. Liam's smile faded. Why not? Because, Sophie took a deep breath, because I'm afraid, Liam, afraid of mixing work with, she made a vague gesture, whatever this is between us. Silence. Liam swallowed. And what if I said it does not have to be only work? Sophie lifted her eyes, surprised. What are you saying? I am saying that. Liam ran a hand through his hair, nervous. I understand if you do not want to work here. I understand if you do not trust me anymore. But, he stepped closer, I do not want you to leave my life again. So, if you will not accept the job, at least accept a dinner? Sophie blinked. You are asking me out? Technically, I am offering you 2 options. Liam smiled, nervous. Option A, you accept the job. Option B, you accept the dinner. Or, he hesitated. Option C, you accept both, and I spend the entire time anxious, trying not to ruin everything again. Sophie stood still, processing. And then, slowly, a smile appeared on her face. A dinner creates less mess than a spreadsheet. Liam blinked. Is that a yes? That is a, maybe I will consider going out with you if you promise never to wear sunglasses at night again. Sophie crossed her arms, trying to hide the smile. And if you take me somewhere I do not have to wear high heels, because I hate high heels. Deal. Liam held out his hand. Friday, 7 in the evening, no heels, no sunglasses, no corporate drama. Sophie looked at his hand, and after 3 seconds of hesitation, she shook it. But I still did not accept the job. Not yet, Liam smiled. But you will. How do you know? Because you cannot leave things broken. He pointed to his desk where the papers were slightly out of alignment. And this company is still a mess without you. Sophie looked at the papers. She felt the itch and rolled her eyes, laughing. You are unbearable. I know. Liam shrugged. But you like me. Sophie did not answer, but the smile on her face said everything. 5 o'clock. Sophie was leaving the building when Melissa caught up to her. Sophie, wait. She stopped and turned. Melissa was holding a small box. Mr. Bennett asked me to give you this. Sophie took the box, opened it. Inside was a new measuring tape and a note. For when you come back, and you will come back. L. Sophie shook her head, smiling. He does not give up, does he? Melissa smiled. Never, especially when it matters. Sophie placed the box in her bag and left, still smiling. But as she walked down the sidewalk, one question kept echoing in her mind. Was she ready to start again? And the answer, for the first time in a long while, was maybe. Friday. 2 in the afternoon. Sophie was in her apartment, looking at her closet as if it were an impossible puzzle. Because Liam had sent a message that morning, Before dinner, there is something I need you to see. Press conference at 3. Please go. Press conference. Sophie had never been to a press conference in her life, and now she was trying to decide if she should wear jeans. Comfortable, but too casual, or the dress she bought 3 years ago and never wore. Uncomfortable, but presentable. She chose the jeans, because in the end, she was who she was. And if Liam did not accept that, better to find out now. 3 o'clock. Bennett Corp Auditorium. The place was packed. Journalists, photographers, investors, employees. Sophie entered quietly through the back door and stayed in the corner, trying not to draw attention. But Melissa saw her and smiled. "He will be happy you came." Sophie shrugged, trying to appear indifferent. "I only came because he asked." "Of course." Melissa smiled even more, absolutely out of obligation. Before Sophie could answer, the lights dimmed, and Liam walked onto the stage. Gray suit, white shirt, hair neatly styled, and the tie, crooked, clearly crooked. 3 degrees to the left, maybe 4. Sophie frowned. Had he forgotten to fix it? Or? Liam approached the microphone, looked at the audience, and his eyes found hers. He smiled, and Sophie understood. He had left it crooked on purpose. Liam cleared his throat. "Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I know the last few weeks have been intense, and I would like to clarify a few things about what happened at Bennett Corp." He clicked the remote. The screen behind him showed a photo of Victor being taken by the police. Victor Harlow, former chief financial officer, was arrested on charges of corporate fraud, internal sabotage, and attempted illegal sale of company assets. The investigation is underway, and we are fully cooperating with federal authorities. Murmurs in the audience. Liam continued. "But I did not come here only to talk about Victor. I came to talk about someone else. Someone most of you have never heard of. But who saved this company?" Twice. He clicked again. The screen showed a photo of Sophie. Not a professional photo. A picture taken at the office where she was cleaning a desk and, without noticing, aligning the papers into perfectly neat piles. Sophie turned red. "This is Sophie Martin." Liam pointed to the screen. "She worked here as a cleaning staff member. And before anyone underestimates what that means, let me explain. She did more for the future of this company cleaning rooms at 2 in the morning than half of our executives did during business hours." Soft laughter from the audience. Sophie has a gift, an irritating gift, according to her. She sees patterns, mistakes, things everyone overlooks, and she cannot stop herself from fixing them. It is stronger than she is. Liam paused. And it was because of this gift that she identified a $500 million error that would have destroyed this company, and fixed it, alone, without asking for credit, without asking for recognition, because she simply cannot see things broken and do nothing. Sophie felt her eyes burn. Liam continued, his voice softer now. "And I failed her. I allowed her to be accused, humiliated, destroyed, because I was more concerned with protocol than with justice. And that is something I will regret for the rest of my life." He looked directly at her. "But today, I want to make that right, in front of everyone. Sophie Martin is not just a former employee. She is the new strategic organization consultant at Bennett Corp. And if she accepts," he smiled, "she will be the most important person in this company, because she sees what no one else sees, and she fixes what no one else can." The audience began to applaud, slow at first, then stronger. Sophie stood frozen, tears running down her face, trying to process it. And then Liam said something no one expected. "And about my tie," he pointed to the crooked knot. "I left it like this on purpose, because I learned something from Sophie. I learned that perfection is not symmetry. Perfection is intention. And my intention today is to be honest, imperfect, and grateful." He looked at her again. "Thank you, Sophie, for everything." The entire auditorium stood, applauding, and Sophie, in the middle of it all, could only laugh and cry at the same time. 3:20. The press conference ended. The journalists left. The employees went back to work, and Sophie stood in the hallway trying to gather herself. Liam approached, hands in his pockets. "So you saw?" Sophie wiped her tears, laughing. "You really left your tie crooked just to make a public statement about symmetry?" Liam smiled. "I left it crooked because I knew it would drive you crazy, and I wanted you to know I was thinking about you." Sophie shook her head, smiling. "You are ridiculous." "I know." He stepped closer. "But will you still have dinner with me?" That depends. Sophie crossed her arms playfully. Does the restaurant have misaligned silverware? Because if it does, I will spend the whole night organizing it and not eat anything. I already called. The silverware will be perfectly aligned, with a measuring tape if needed. Sophie laughed. Fine, I will go. Liam held out his hand. Shall we? Sophie looked at his hand, and instead of shaking it, she pulled his tie and fixed the knot. Slowly, carefully. Liam froze because suddenly she was very close. Close enough for him to smell her perfume. Close enough to see the freckles on her nose. Close enough to notice she was smiling. There. Sophie stepped back. Now you look like a real CEO. I would rather look like a man who has a chance with you. Sophie tilted her head. You do, she shrugged. But only if you promise never to let me be humiliated in public again. I promise. And never stay silent when I need you. I promise. And never wear sunglasses at night. Liam laughed. That I can promise. Sophie looked at him for one more second, and then, without thinking, without planning, without calculating, she leaned in and kissed him. It was quick. Soft? Unexpected. But it was real. And when she stepped back, Liam was smiling like a fool. Does this mean you accepted the job? Sophie rolled her eyes. It means I accept dinner. We'll discuss the job later. Fair. They left together side by side, laughing about something no one else would understand. And as they walked past the reception area, Sophie stopped. She looked at the silverware in the break room through the glass door. Completely misaligned. She felt the itch. Liam noticed. No, just a second. Sophie, no. But she was already inside, straightening each fork, each knife, each spoon with obsessive precision. Liam leaned against the door, laughing, shaking his head. I will have to live with this, won't I? Sophie looked over her shoulder, smiling. For the rest of your life, if you are lucky. And Liam realized at that moment that he did not want luck. He wanted her. Visual itch and all. And they lived happily. And very organized, ever after. Because in the end, true love is not perfect. It is just perfectly aligned. Now tell me, what did you think of Sophie's transformation? From invisible cleaning staff to indispensable consultant, and on top of that, winning the heart of the billionaire CEO with a crooked tie and a visual itch. Share your thoughts in the comments. I want to know, were you rooting for Sophie from the beginning, or was there a moment when you thought, now she truly deserves everything? On a scale of 0 to 10, what score would you give this story? If you laughed, felt emotional, or got that little itch to organize your own life after this journey, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive more emotional, funny, and completely addictive stories like this. See you in the next one. And who knows, maybe in the next story, we will find out what happened at their first dinner. Because knowing Sophie, she probably reorganized the entire restaurant before dessert.